Welcome back to the Pushing Through Loss podcast, where we share stories, honor resilience, and embrace strength. I am Kalila Green Siciliano, and it is my honor to begin the journey with you. Last night, I feel like I learned a very valuable lesson, and it was something that was in such a simple project. I had seen a video recently about how to make egg drop soup, and I know you're probably thinking, egg drop soup, what does that have anything to do with what you talk about in terms of activating your inner strength warrior or pregnancy loss or grief or anything along those lines? But I promise I'll get to the point. I had seen this video and I thought to myself, I've always wanted to make egg drop soup. I have tried to research every method possible. I've tried to look it up on the internet. I've tried to watch other videos. I've tried to even garner information from people who've made it in the past. And I always felt like that was one thing that was out of my reach. I don't know why. I don't know what about it felt so difficult, but there was something in the way that it was made that I thought, this is just going to be impossible and it's going to turn out to be a disaster. And then I kept thinking about it and I thought, number one, okay, so if it does turn out to be a disaster, who cares? And number two, I won't know until I try. And I felt like last night, there was plenty of other food that we could have eaten for dinner and that we did eat for dinner, but this was going to be something that was just a little bit extra. So why not try it? So I picked up the ingredients. I got my chicken stock. I got my eggs. I got my slurry that I actually ended up using potato starch instead of cornstarch like the recipe recommended. And I picked up some scallions. Now, that's it. That's all that went into it, with the exception of adding a little bit of water to the egg. And I put it all together. I started making it. And as I'm warming up the chicken stock and I pour in the slurry of the potato starch and the water, I'm thinking, this is so much easier than I thought it was going to be. And then I kept thinking, why have I never done this before? And then I thought, this is such a good lesson. You don't know how anything is going to turn out unless you do it. And the fear can sit there and overwhelm you. And even on something as simple as creating a new dish to try, if you don't try it, you'll never know. So I got to the point of then adding in the eggs. And you know, egg drop soup, if you're a fan of it, has those silky strings of eggs that are in it. And I never understood how to do it. But I thought, you know what? I've actually conquered poaching eggs. I'm going to try this and see what happens. And again, I put the eggs with a little bit of water. I scrambled them all up in a cup and I slowly poured them into the soup as I'm stirring the soup. And I see these gorgeous silky strands starting to form. And it was like this happy moment where I did a dance because I was like, I can't believe that it worked. But it was one of those where, again, if I had never tried it and I always let the fear of trying something so simple and so silly to overwhelm me and to never let me do what I thought I could do, I would never know that I could do it. And I think that's really what I wanted to talk about, because so many times the fear holds us back from what we're meant to do. And I'm not talking, okay, I have a huge fear of jumping out of an airplane. I know plenty of people who have done it. It's not something I want to conquer. It's not a fear that I think I ever will go about and say, that's something that's holding me back. It's not. But something as simple as making a soup, while, okay, it sounds like a silly fear or a silly thing that I would be afraid to start trying, it was something where I was like, I have built this up in my head to be this unmountable obstacle. And yet it was the easiest thing I had ever done. My friend who we were eating dinner with even said to me, I need to have this recipe. And I was like, you're not even going to believe how easy it was. So that's the point. You're going to survive the things that you try, right? It's one of those that, like Nike says, just do it. Because if you don't ever know what the capability of your own personal strength is. Dig deep in those moments. And again, I know it's this silly thing about making soup, but it felt so good to do it. And looking back on it, I think if it had been a complete fail, we all would have laughed about it. We would have thrown it out and said, well, I tried. But the fact that it was so good, my daughter, before I even finished with the pot of soup, was asking if I could make it again this week. And then she licked her bowl because it was so good. So you're never going to be able to know what you can do unless you do it. I wish that all of you listening know that even in the depths of any sort of grief you're going through, you will make it through. Rely on those people around you. Rely on your inner strength. Do something that you think you can't do, because I promise you, it will happen and you can do it. I think that we all need a little bit of extra confidence sometimes. And if this helps, even in you understanding that this fear of making soup was holding me back, which was so ridiculous, that even your little fears are legitimate. But I promise you, there is a way to get through them. And if you decide that you want to do it, tell me what you're scared of and tell me how you're going to take steps to do it. And I'd love to hear about what happened afterwards. Was it a complete fail moment? Or did you go about making the best thing you've ever made, or doing the most amazing thing you've ever done, or having the best experience that you've ever had? Tell me in an email, tell me in the comments. I would love to hear from you, because after all, you got this. And if you don't got this, we got this together. Thank you for joining me today on Pushing Through Loss. I hope this episode has provided support, understanding, and a sense of community for those who have experienced pregnancy loss. Remember, you are not alone in your journey, and there is strength within you to face the challenges that come your way. If you found value in today's episode, please consider sharing it with others who may benefit. Together, we can help each other heal and activate our inner strength warriors. Stay tuned for more empowering conversations, and until next time, you got this.